I think we have to imagine the movement and the people now in Greece as a sea, not a calm sea. Πώς είναι η φουρτούνα? As a storm, yeah, like a big storm. And things, it's like that, going up and down, big waves. I say this because, let me give you an example. In October, where we have the 48 general strike, the polls show Golden Dawn percent, it was 1%, because it was the peak of the movement at that point. Okay? Now, at that time, Laos, which was the far right-wing party, the other far right-wing party which was in the government, and they supported the government, they had gained something 4%. And after only a few months, Golden Dawn has 7%, and Laos now, all the MPs are leaving Laos, the far right wing, and go to New Democracy. And the Laos is almost collapsed. So quickly, just like that, in a few months. The same, we have to see the movement now, because I was talking about the right and far right and the Nazis, but if we see the movement, it's exactly like this. There is no kind of solid thing that Syriza has a solid, that 70% of the workers are solid and are, we have three poles in the left in Greece. The Communist Party, the anti-capitalist left, and the Syriza. Okay, the people who voted for Syriza are people who used to vote for, who agree more. For example, there are hundreds of thousands of people that voted for Syriza who agree with the politics of the Communist Party but doesn't agree with the sectarianism of the Communist Party. And there are thousands of people that agree with Adarsia because we are not sectarian and we're not pro-European Union, but they voted for Syriza because they thought that it would be an easy solution out of the crisis. I mean, we have to see the people and the movement in Greece now at this point. It's like that. It's not like you have parties. I mean, if you have a party with a solid basis, this is definitely the Communist Party. And it's right what Costa said before, that if you could go out, I mean, the organized, the people who are moving in the three parties in Greece. There are thousands of them. I mean, but all these people that voted, that the ex-voters of PASOK, we have to remember this, who have changed these last 2 months. So things are changed very rapidly. I think this is the first point I want to have. The second thing is that because they go too fast, it's not like as Socialist Workers' Party in Greece, we have voted in the past for PASOK with a critical vote to PASOK, or later to the Communist Party or Synaspismos in the 90s. But it's not like a situation that you are a small organization, you vote for a party, and then for 4 next years you go and talk with people. It took 8 years from Andreas Papandreou from 1981 to 1989 so the people could understand that they were building socialism. But it's not like this situation now. I mean, if Syriza has a left government, we have the elections in 25 days. In 35 days, not after months, they have to answer very clear questions about what they're going to do. If they say to them, you're out of the European Union, or we won't give you the money, what are they going to do? Because they say they won't unilaterally denounce the debt. So if the other side does this thing, how do they reply? Do they say nationalization? Not quite everybody is speaking about nationalization. They say that we have that the public should have control on the banks. They don't say public control on nationalized banks. They don't even say workers' control on nationalized banks. So what they have in mind, actually, their politics, I mean, is that, and to be honest, about Syriza. Syriza is not like many parties, Trotskyists and Maoists and revolutionaries and some reformists. It's coalition of the left. Synaspismos is a party that it's. I have to go. I need some time, please, if it's possible. It's a party that was formed. It's a Euro-communist party, which is the center of Syriza, and it's a well-known reformist party. It's a party that cooperated in 1989 with New Democracy. They have together a right-wing government. And after a while, they had a second coalition government with PASOK, a new democracy. And after that, the left collapsed in Greece in the 1990s. The communists, they were split again together, the Communist Party and the coalition of the left with the Euro Communists. And the Euro Communists, the Nationalists took 2.9 and they were left out of parliament. And the Communist Party just took 3.1. And it took years for the left to build again. I mean, there is and so if we're talking about Syriza, it's this. It's the main and the core organization is a clearly reformist organization. And okay, let's go to the politics again. If okay, they say that we want you out of the European Union. By any means, they say that we have to stay in the European Union. So what will be the answer after 30 days? And what's the position of the rest of the left for this thing? We have to say, okay, we have to support now, and we have no, because it will be just after 30 days, or 40, or 2 months, or 3 months. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's going to be very, very close what is to be done. So I think we have to answer all this. The problem is that the leadership of Syriza at this moment, they try to say to the other left, shut up, don't talk about these things. Because, okay, it's also the funny thing is that also the European Union and the pro-austerity parties that say the same question, what you going to do when that time comes? And we put the same question because it is the question, what we're going to do with the banks, what we're going to do with the European Union, what we're going to do with the debt. And they say, don't talk like this. Even Alavanos, the ex-leader of Syriza, he was the one who, for a joke, he crowned Tsipras in the new place of the president of Syriza. He said, okay, I agree with everything that Syriza does, but if we want to do this, can we do it inside the European Union? And came out MPs from Syriza talking to him, no, you don't have, you're worse than Merkel and Schäuble. What you say, you have to shut up. I mean, and I think what they're going to do actually, what's going to be after the elections? Maybe do we have maybe if the 1% or the 0.5% of Adasia, if it goes to Syriza, will win the first place and take the 60 MPs more, the bonus they give to the first party, and they're going to form a government. And if we don't, maybe the New Democracy government will have a new right-wing government. Okay, the first place, will this right government can go on? We had 2 governments in the last 2 years in Greece, and they all collapsed after the pressure. How should they work? How without the left government should work and put all the new austerity programs they're going to have? On the other hand, if we have that the left, that Syriza wins and be the first party, and he calls for a new government, I'm not quite sure if it's going to be a left government, to be honest about it. I think the pressure now is enormous. It was in the first elections, and it is enormous now, the pressure to have a coalition government. Because the question will be again, if this lets you out of the European Union and what we can do. And you know what they say? The Syriza program, if you hear Dragasakis, he used to be a Minister of Economics in the coalition government with the right and the PASOK in the 1990s. He says that okay, what we have to do now is that we're going to say that we can't go on with this austerity program. We need a 2 or 3 years moratorium that we don't pay the debt, and then we can renegotiate in order to have some growth in the economy, and so that we can go on. And okay, I mean, this is the point, and this is not a revolutionary point. This is not they don't know where it leads. It leads to catastrophe, and this will be very, very, very close. But even if we have a government, let's say, I want to put another thing, and if you want to stop me wherever you want. To see what if we have a left government, okay, and a left government that won't make compromises, a left government that want to do things. How should they do it? I mean, okay, we have a law with 60 more MPs, 50 more MPs. We have a law that say that no more firing in the private sector, in factories. Who is going to implement this? The paper that they're going to have? No, it will be the workers in the factory who are going to do this. We're going to strike. We're going to occupy, like the workers in the steel worker now, and say no. The banks won't take the machines out of the factory, and we have to work this on. for example, we need to have the Nazi Golden Dawn out of to be illegal. Who's going to implement this? The police? It has to be a really, really strong movement who are going to do all these things. And if we have a default next day, what is going to be? Already the hospitals have no drugs, have have problems with that stuff. How are we going to solve this out? What we argue is that it's not just the votes. You see, the elections is like, okay, you are fighting in a big mess, and then you have a lightning, and for a second you see the situation, how many they are, how many we are, and then you go back to the struggle, because there is the point. If we're gonna change things, we're gonna change things in the base of society, and that means if we don't in hospital they don't have drugs, we have factories who produce drugs in Greece. So we say we have to build committees, workers' committees that the workers have built during the strikes, but to make one more step and start and use them as workers' control, so that the drug factory can get drugs to the hospital, so that we can cooperate and organize with the unions in hospitals and the public sector in Britain and in other countries, and ask them, this is the way that things are going to be solved. Okay. What I want to say about two more questions. The question about the military coup. Okay, if we're talking about situations that, as Lenin used to say, the rulers can rule as they did before, and the people who are ruled can be ruled like they did before. We're talking about situations that you have revolutions, and also you can have such things. But I think that's too weak right now to do such a thing inside Greece. I mean, who are the soldiers who will go after such a coup? I mean, it's not out of the question, but it's not something that we have to face. I hope that we have to face right here and now. And the second thing, the third thing is when we're talking about Andasia. I want to make some. Andasia has played a crucial role. Even if the next elections we're not going to get 75, and we're going to get 60 or 50. Well, I don't want to say that we have to have this. But if more people say, okay, we will vote for Syriza, or I don't know, for Communist Party. I think the crucial thing is that Andasia is very, very strong and rooted in this movement. It's 2 years old, but it's not 2 years old. The parties and the organizations that participate in Andasia, they come from the 1973 rebellion in the Polytechnic against the junta till now. There are, parts of this revolutionary left, which our organization is, or you have now the new current, the new left current, which is a split from the Communist Party in the early 90s during their leaders who now are in Syriza, or many of them are in Communist Party. They left, the Communist youth left and formed a more radical and more revolutionary organization. So we are well known and rooted. If you go, for example, in the unions, in the elections we had in the unions this last year, it was Communist Party had the most members in the unions elected. Then comes Syriza, and then come Andasia, but with a very small διαφορά, with small difference. So and it's not only like this. I mean, let me tell you one thing, and I'll finish. Look what the left say for the Nazis and the Golden Dawn in Greece. The Communist Party says that, okay, the Nazis, they're a danger, but it's not the Nazis, it's the capitalism. The capitalism produces fascism, so we have to fight capitalism, and we don't need a separate front against the fascists. And the Communist Party, had a very, very strong, they can work with their sticks and helmets, 500 of them like a legion. They could smash the fascists out of the neighborhoods. The Syriza, on the other hand, all these 2 years, because the Nazis, they provocated do many attacks and stuff. What they were saying, that we say we are against the Nazis, of course, and racism, but we can't go to these areas that they control. We can't confront them, because if we confront the Nazis, then we give them, we make them big by confronting them. Okay, so we try to have fronts in strikes, because Andasia is not like a hedgehog. It's not like the Communist Party. We to have common action in strikes, common action against the Nazis. But what you see, you have leaderships that they are reformists also in Communist Party and also in the Syriza, and that happened till the last point. till the Papadimos government, they wanted to last till October or after, I don't know, 2 years, but it stopped in March. Why is this? The last thing that happened was the 25 March parades we have for the anniversary of the Greek Revolution 1821. And they come up that it will be chaos in the parades. Nazis will, with leftists, they're going to, beat each other. Don't go to the streets. That was, the government, what they were saying. And what the leadership of the Communist Party and the Syriza were saying that, if don't go to the parades, because if we're going to have some stuff, there will be provocations. And so next day, we're not going to have elections. And the Adersia was the only party to call for the people to calm down, and that was the last thing they've done, the government, because they felt the other day it was huge. I mean, in the whole country, people demonstrating. I think this is the things. I think now that the leadership of Syriza seeing the other left as a spike in its left, I think they're going to compromise, and they think that if they clear with their left, they can do it. They can do that easily. So what we say now is that we have to stand against this. Of course, we have first to stand against the European Union and the blackmail they do, and the pro-New Democracy and PASOK. We have to stand against them because they're trying to gain back. We have to say win victory for the left, and at the same time we have to build the revolutionary left. And I think this is very crucial in the pre-election period. It will be much, much more crucial after.
Just briefly, I mean, let me say that on the question of Greece, the beginning of wisdom, of course, is that any revolutionaries worth the name cannot stand apart from the radicalisation of the masses that is occurring. That they have to relate to and be part of that mood that's taking place on the left, and to be part and to guide the process by which that happens. That's absolutely crucial. That's true wherever you are, and whatever the state of the movement may be. But there's something else which is also important, which is to think how workers' consciousness develops. And as Trotsky said, workers come to a fuller understanding of the way that society moves and of workers' own capacity to change society by successive approximations. By trying something, it doesn't work, and by trying something new and learning the lessons of history. As long as there is a clarity about what that alternative might be and of how to move the movement forwards. And the danger is that revolutionaries, by situating themselves on whatever is briefly popular on the left, can find themselves blocking that process rather than extending it. And that's another and a bigger danger in some sense about the situation that happens in Greece. In other words, we need someone who says clearly that what is blocked in the struggle cannot be unblocked simply by votes. That capitalism rests on an extra-parliamentary basis, and workers have to rest on an extra-parliamentary basis as well. That Syriza's programme, once it comes up against the inevitable anger and power and strength of capitalism, not simply in Greece but on a European and world basis, they will crumble when faced with that. And if somebody doesn't say that in advance, the danger is when key tests come that it will lead to disaster, because it will be a very swiftly changing situation. And therefore, of course, it's right to say, aren't you worried about not relating to the movement on the left? It's a good question. But a better question is to say, how can revolutionaries situate themselves in a way that can provide lasting answers to the radicalisation of the left that's occurring, of the radicalisation of the working class in Greece and internationally? And you think about what the Bolsheviks did in the elections for the Petersburg Soviet in 1917. The Bolsheviks got 2.5% of the vote. They didn't join the Mensheviks. They remained in a position whereby they put forward revolutionary answers at a time that society was radicalising at immense pace, and were therefore capable of giving leadership at a crucial moment afterwards. I think that's a good example of what was possible. I think it's necessary at times to exist as a minority to become a majority at a later stage in the struggle. And if somebody doesn't say, Syriza's methods will not liberate you, Syriza's methods will lead to disaster, then I don't see how that method of development can occur as quickly as it can if the position is put forward outside it. I want to talk a bit about Britain, because Britain can seem a bit boring compared to Greece, but come on, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as it was. I mean, we look back, we had a very important student movement, we had the biggest trade union demonstration in British history, we had a general strike in the public sector, or much of the public sector, involving 2.5 million workers, and even last strike on May the 10th, not great, hundreds of thousands of workers took part in it. That is actually an improvement on what we had before. And the reason why I say that is because I think what we're seeing across Europe is specific examples of a general process, of a universal process, in fact, that every working class is facing. That's why there is struggle in Brazil or China, in Greece or London. That in all of these places the same questions are being posed. Now, of course, it's not inevitable that it develops in this way. Not at all inevitable. But again, we are looking at a situation of another big strike in October and another big demonstration, much slower and smaller than it should be. If the trade union leaders had built upon the 30th of November, we could have had, and it's not an exaggeration, we could have had the Tory government out by now. A weak government, divided, undermined constantly by the failure of its economic policies, the obvious fact that it only serves the millionaires, divided, that government could have been defeated. But it hasn't been built upon in that way. And therefore we have to fight to get 1 million on strike in October and 1 million on the streets. And that's one of the crucial aims that we have to make sure that we're building the 20th of October strike, but not just as not the demonstration, but not simply as a thing in itself. It has to be a launch pad for much deeper struggle in Britain. Have to raise again the potential of united strikes, of a general strike, of a much greater level of strike movement, and therefore the need for building of rank and file strength. And to use the example of Greece as part of that's why the 23rd of June conference will have a speaker from Greece. We need to raise this level of twinning with workplaces, of showing our solidarity with Greece. Perhaps we should have a demonstration at the Greek embassy on the 17th of June where we try and get the largest number of workers and students to come along to show that we stand with the left in Greece. We stand with those who are defying the Troika and their own rich. That we are part of the same process, we're in the same trench as them, and we're going to make sure that we show our support for them. But also we need to think about, if we're to get that higher level of fight back here, if we're to build the strongest possible resistance, and if we're going to be able to answer the questions that are posed today in Greece when they come to here, we need many more revolutionaries. We need a bigger Socialist Workers' Party. We need more people involved in the left. We need more people who are fighting for rank and file strength inside the trade union movement. And that's why, at the same time as offering our solidarity with Greece, the best solidarity we offer is building our own strength here and building a revolutionary pole of attraction on the left as well that can make sure that we are able to make sure when the struggle comes here that we're providing the right leadership for it. And that's why I urge you, if you're not a member, to join the SWP.